Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Amateur Experts Podcast. Off of another little mini break, getting Andrew settled in, vacation, all the fun stuff. But we're good now. So get back to regularly scheduled programming. Obviously, your host Landon Oliver here with my co-host Andrew Scott. What's going on, dude?
It feels good to be back, man. It's good to finally be settled in. Hopefully, no more, long breaks or anything. We should be back to at least once a week now, being able to get some structure back in my life and stuff. Got the move out of the way, vacation out of the way, all that good stuff. So now I'm ready to get back to doing this on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, it's definitely good to have you back for sure. And just ready to get started right in here. We got some NBA action. Obviously, we know the playoffs are already going on. We've already got one series that's ended, so we're a little late to the party. But we just wanted to talk some NBA, talk some basketball since that's kind of relevant at the moment. And just kind of we'll just see where the night takes us from there. And shout out once again, my boys at Pristine Auction. Nice little display behind me right here. Minus the bourbon. They did not give me all the bourbon, but if they want to send me some, I will take
I'm
it.
sure you can probably buy some signed bottles of bourbon on Pristine Auction, man. You can buy everything on that site. So I'm sure there's probably a bottle of signed bourbon by somebody floating around on there.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. They got all kinds of stuff, but shout out to them for the display behind me. And I know you got your stuff coming, should be hung up for our next episode.
Hopefully, yeah, yeah, it looks good back there, man. Though it looks awesome, and
Yeah,
puts it like just puts me in the mood for football season.
oh my God, yeah, I know.
Like we need any help for that, but
Yeah, right. Well, I made a Facebook post yesterday, and it was just a picture of like the display and some of the other because there's some jerseys out here. I've got 4 jerseys and I got another little autograph sign right there. I just put a picture on Facebook and I said I can't wait to lose so much money in this room this fall
yeah,
because
no,
you already know what it's gonna be.
but
So,
we're gonna keep coming back though.
oh yeah, it's definitely. I don't want to use the A word because
Yeah,
that's a taboo word,
right.
but it's fun for sure. So, but enough about football. Obviously we'll have like a million football podcasts.
Sure, we'll probably get right back to it next week or some
Right,
shit. Who
especially
knows?
considering we just made a big trade today.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
so that's always interesting. So let's just get into basketball. If you're seeing the graphic right here on YouTube, we've got all the teams listed, and we have Milwaukee already in there. But tonight the Nets joined them, so it is going to be Milwaukee and Brooklyn in that series in the second round. But every other series is still going on. We have right now the Lakers and Suns playing, or well, the Suns playing and the Lakers
Bloodbath.
watching. And then I believe the other game is the Portland game with Denver,
Portland and Denver.
and
Yeah.
that's actually a really good game right now. Um, so I mean, let's just head off here with let's just start here with the East. So
Okay.
we have the 76ers, who we are going to assume, I'm sure both of us are going to pick them to finish out the series against the Wizards.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the good part, like you said, we had planned on doing this hopefully before I left for vacation, which would have been before the playoffs started. So we would have truly, got to give our predictions and stuff before things kicked off. But the good news with the NBA is the first round isn't usually too, life altering with the teams you expect to be in it. So even knowing what we know, I don't think it really would have changed much for us, in terms of who we had moving on, at least for most of these series. I think it's pretty safe to say that even if Embiid was to miss multiple games going forward the rest of the series, I don't think Philly's going to drag this out too long. And even without him, I think that they can beat this Washington team. Even though, I mean, Bill and Westbrook aren't going to go down without a fight, but I do think that Philly would be moving on. But the big thing with that is I still haven't heard how serious Embiid's injury is, and I mean that team might be able to win one more game against Washington, but I mean, the next round looking ahead, it's looking like Atlanta's going to take down the Knicks unless the Knicks come back. I think they're down 3-1 currently. And so, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see Atlanta knock off Philly if Embiid's out for that whole series. So I mean, that's kind of a big unknown right now that we don't know. At least I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about his injury either. I mean, I do know obviously he's been pretty injury prone throughout his career, so I mean,
Yeah,
you
it's
never
true.
know. Um, but we are assuming that Philadelphia wins that, and the one that did change actually, man. Like I thought the Knicks would actually beat Atlanta. in this series just from how hot that they've been here recently. And I think it's just kind of a thing with the Knicks where it's like they were just happy to be there.
Yeah.
And then once they got there, they just kind of was like, well, we're here, so what do we do now? And Trey Young has just been assassinating that team. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. He's been a killer, man.
so I mean, it's kind of funny to see. And then, so I mean, I mean, so you're picking Atlanta and Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it'll be Atlanta and Philly. The Knicks have been, and it sucks, man, because I'm a UK fan through and through, and Julius Randle had a great year, won the Most Improved Player award, and I mean, a lot of what he came off with that Most Improved Player award was a lot of the isolation play that he saw a lot of success with in the regular season, and Atlanta has just not been going for that shit in this series, man, and he has not played near as well as he did in the regular season. So, and granted, the rest of the team really hasn't been playing up to the way that they did, to get that 4th seed either. But he was the best player on the team. He was the one that led them to the playoff seeding that they got. So the spotlight was going to be on him, and it as a Kentucky fan, it sucked to see him struggle. But hopefully, he's a free agent. So if he decides to resign with New York or whatever the case is, hopefully, he gets to build on the year he had, because he did have a great year. But this playoffs has not been kind to him, though.
yeah. So then, obviously, like I said, the Bucks have already won their series against Miami, and the Nets wrapped up the Celtics series tonight. So I think we kind of both agree whoever comes out of this series is more than likely going to be the winner of the East, because this is
Yep.
just a juggernaut of a series right here. So I
This could end
mean,
up being the best series of the entire playoffs,
yeah, I'm really
realistically.
excited to watch that. Um, so obviously, dependent on the Embiid injury, if we do have Atlanta and Philadelphia. Say for example, Embiid is hurt. Are you going Atlanta there, or are you still riding the Philly train?
Yeah, I would take Atlanta if he's out, with the way Trey Young's playing, and then the way that, I mean, the rest of the team around him is playing well too.
That's a super
Um,
young roster too, man.
yeah, they're a little bit ahead of schedule. And I mean, he's definitely been the highlight. There hadn't been anybody putting up the numbers like he has, um, but yeah, I mean, if Philly probably still has a better roster top to bottom, even without Embiid. Like if you take away Embiid, and then if you take away Trey Young, obviously, but um, yeah, I mean, if Embiid's out the whole series, that I would be taking Atlanta to win that. But now if Embiid's in for the series, or if Embiid just misses like the first game or whatever the case may be, I would take Philly to go through. But yeah, I mean, man, yeah, I mean, if Embiid didn't get hurt in the regular season, there's a good chance we're talking about him winning the MVP. Like, I mean, he's been extremely important to that team and their success. And so I can't see them getting past Atlanta if they don't have Embiid. I would be pretty surprised personally.
Yeah, I'm trying to look here and see what they're saying. So, um, yeah, I mean, all I'm seeing is right knee injury, and they're awaiting MRI results.
Yeah, it says doubtful for game 5, but and that's probably, they're probably going to keep it game by game, close to the vest type of thing. I would guess. Um, his MRI on his right knee is supposed to be evaluated further tomorrow. Um, so
I don't like the
we'll
word
see.
further.
No, and you don't like to hear right knee soreness with a guy like Embiid that's already been dealing with stuff like that his career either. So, I mean, with how well he's been playing and just how fun he is to watch, obviously you hope to see him out there. But I don't think Philly's ride is going to be much longer if he's not out there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's going to be a tough series if he's. I mean, even with him healthy, with the way Atlanta's playing, and if he's not out there, it's. I mean, it could be very quick. Could be a wrap with the way they're shooting the ball right now. So, but like we said, the biggest one, obviously, Milwaukee, the Nets. I already know where you're going with that. Um, and I mean, it's hard to fault you with the way that Brooklyn has been playing recently. The big three. I mean, even tonight, what James Harden did. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, they just seem to have, hit their stride. And um, it's actually, see, it surprised me a lot because the big key to this to me was always going to be James Harden, because he's never been an off the ball player. He's always been so ball dominant, and Kyrie has always been so ball dominant. I mean, we know what Durant could do because we watched him in Golden State. He doesn't need the ball to drop, 40 on you. But
He only misses like 3 shots a game. So
right. So I mean, but I mean, like with Kyrie and Harden, both of them are so ball dominant. It was
yeah,
interesting to me to see how it was going to work out. And the fact that Kyrie actually stood up and took, you know, the role of, you be the point guard. I'll be here to score and distribute when I'm needed. He almost took that back seat to James Harden. And I think that's really been the key to how they've played, because it's let Harden still play his game, and Kyrie was able to adapt, kind of similar to how he did when LeBron showed up in Cleveland, how he kind of took that backseat role. And obviously, it worked out well whenever your third option is Kyrie Irving. Um, it's almost kind of unfair. So I do think Brooklyn is going to end up, depending on their defense. Now I mean, what Giannis can do, but I mean, I still think they're still a big piece away. They need one more big star, because in this today's day and age, like in the NBA, like
it's all about getting that big three.
you're not gonna win without three stars, because these dudes, they don't like to compete. They like to team up. So that's before I get into that soapbox. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hard for Milwaukee to slow down all three of those dudes at a level that I think is going to be conducive enough to them winning a 7-game series. I mean, I think they could probably, take
I
two.
think it's going to go 7.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that I think they can take 2 or 3 games. But I mean, 7 games. I mean, that is the good thing I do like about the NBA playoffs for the most part. Is, yeah, like certain teams can get hot and all that, but for the most part, for like you play a team 7 games, like it can go 7 games,
The better
at
team's
least
going to win
four.
the
The better team's
series.
going to win more often than not.
Right.
Um, no, obviously last year was just kind of a fluke with the whole, like, COVID and the hotel and all that. Um, I mean, obviously that's not conducive to,
No, I
environment.
mean,
Like,
I thought the Heat kind of surprised me, but I think most people were picking, the
right.
Lakers to come out of the West and stuff. So that part kind of played out how you thought it would.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the Clippers would be better team, honestly,
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
than
they
what
were
they
definitely
were.
disappointing.
But, yeah, I mean, that playoff P,
Man, that turned into a whole
pan-
meme for how bad he
pandemic P,
played.
pandemic P.
Golly. He might be put on another meme if Kawhi wasn't carrying him the way he has been in this first series. We ain't into the West yet, but
I know he played really good the other night.
yeah,
He played really well the other night.
yeah,
It
he
seemed like
did.
I started watching I watched like the first half of it. And it seemed like for like that whole first half, every time I looked up, that dude was getting a bucket.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the frustrating thing with watching him, man, is like
He can do it.
how talented he is. It's just like, damn it, just do it already. Do the thing that you do. But yeah, I mean, Milwaukee played Brooklyn, which granted, I don't know if a single one of those games, all three of Brooklyn's big three were there because they only played like 7 games together in the regular
Right.
season. But they played Brooklyn extremely tough in the regular season. And, I mean, I think Drew Holiday is one of, if not the most underrated player in the league. I think that he is a star level type player with what he brings on both sides of the floor. And I think if Milwaukee is able to beat Brooklyn, I think he's going to be the big reason why. I mean, you know what Giannis is going to do, but I think the big difference between Milwaukee last year versus Milwaukee this year will show up, which will be obviously Drew Holiday. So I mean, we'll see. I obviously, I've got my KD bias. He's literally my favorite basketball player of all time. So I'm not about to sit here and tell you I think that they're going to lose, especially with how great KD has been playing and during this first round series. He's right back to putting up 30 plus every single night in the playoffs. He's got just I arguably to me, again, I've got my bias, but I think he's been the best player in the playoffs so far through the first round. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the Nets the entire way. I can just skip all the way to the finals as far as that goes. But I think that the Bucks and Nets, I think that has the potential to be the best series of the entire playoffs. Personally, like I was really hoping that one of these teams would get the 1 seed so that we could see them in the Eastern Conference Finals instead of having to see them in the second round. But it's going to be fun to watch regardless.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. So pretty much we can just go ahead and skip over the East because we both have the Nets in the finals as well, regardless of where these teams go. So let's get to the more competitive conference for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for years and years and years. Um,
Hmm.
and that's the
Although I
West.
do think the East is getting better though. Like I think the East as a conference has gotten better, but yeah, the West is still, there's still the tough road to the finals.
Yeah, so we'll start here. We have the number 1 seed, kind of a bit of surprise this season, the Utah Jazz, going up against Ja Morant, a local kid from Murray State, right down the road from here. Um, but him and the Memphis Grizzlies, and I think we both kind of know it was kind of inevitable. Like, you know, generally 8 seeds don't compete with 1 seeds.
Ja can only do so much, and he
Yeah,
has been
he's
doing
been great.
everything
Yeah,
possible, man. He has been outstanding. The playoff stage has not phased him a bit. I mean, he has been incredible, man. It's just,
well, I
he
mean,
can only do so much.
yeah, I mean, if you watched them in college and like, you saw March Madness, you know that the big stage like
Doesn't
brings out the
phase
best
him.
in him. So,
Yeah.
um, so yeah,
That's the big thing from this series for me. I probably could speak for both of us and say for us, it's just exciting to see John Morant again just get more recognition on the national stage for how great of a player this kid truly is. And I mean he put Murray State on the map. I mean you had guys like Isaiah Cannon that he made the ESPN top 10 a couple times with some crazy plays and stuff like that. But Ja
campaign.
truly, yeah, in campaign he was nice.
Who's actually going
He
off
will,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. We'll be talking about him in a little bit too because he's been playing pretty well.
Knight and
But
Jen specifically, like he's been going off right now. So
yeah, oh really? I hadn't even looked at anything for the game going on
yeah,
right
him and
now.
him and Booker like combined like for like almost 40 points in the first half.
Eesh. But yeah, I mean, it's so awesome to see Ja play so well, man. I mean, I don't think either one of us had any doubts that that would be the case, but it's just nice to see it come to fruition and get everybody else get to see what we already knew, over here in Western Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say that Utah will be moving on um, as far as that series goes. Because I mean, that's a 3-1 series, right?
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's 3-1, and then game five's tomorrow. So Memphis might be able to squeak another one out. Maybe they make it go 6, but yeah, I think it's safe to say that Utah um, will be going on to the next round in that one.
Yeah. So then our next series we have up here is the 2 seed Phoenix Suns playing the Los Angeles LeBrons right now. Um, and as of what this game is looking like at the moment, it's a 2-2 series, um, tied. But I have a feeling that Phoenix is probably going to go up 3-2 here about another hour and a half or so, because they are just absolutely waxing Los Angeles.
Yeah, it would be quite the development if they somehow didn't go up 3-2. I mean, it's
Yeah.
as we're recording, it is a
29 points.
29-point game with 10 minutes left in the third quarter. So yeah, there would have to be something drastic happen for Phoenix to not go up a game. And I mean that's huge whenever you're talking about 7-game series and they're tied 2-2. Whoever wins game 5, I don't know the exact number. We talked about it before we hit record, but it's like 70-something% of the time. If you can win game 5 in a 2-2, then you go on to win the series. So
It looks like
um,
they're up 32 now.
yeah, so it's tough to it's tough to imagine them not winning this game. And then if AD doesn't come back, I don't, there's no way the Lakers are beating this team because 2 games in a row. 'Cause, I mean, it's not a fluke that the Suns are the number 2 seed. Like this is a really, really good team. What Chris Paul brought to that team,
Yeah,
and then
awesome.
just the continual development of Devin Booker, DeAndre
DeAndre
Ayton as
Ayton,
well.
yeah.
His continued development. I mean, this is a really good
Jay Crowder
Phoenix
has been a
team.
real
Yeah.
big piece for them.
Yeah, and then the guy you just mentioned, Campaign, has been a
Campaign.
great guard off the bench for them. He's really hit his stride. I think he spent like there was times, after he got drafted by OKC, he was in like the G League and stuff like he kind of really bounced around a little bit. So I mean, it's cool to see him, another Murray State product, really start to develop. But I mean, yeah, this is really a really good Suns team. It's not it's not
Yeah.
just like by accident that they're the number 2 seed. So
And
it
they played at an elite level just about all season long.
yeah. So if they, I mean, they're going to go up 3-2. And then if AD's not back, they're definitely winning the series. And even if AD does come back, I
They're
think
still
it
gonna
would
be a
be a
backup.
surprise I think it would be a surprise if the Lakers won the series. Like, if we have to pick today, I'm picking the Suns to win this series,
Yeah, I
so,
agree.
um,
And I'm personally, I hope the Suns win the series because
yeah, I do too. I want to see Booker make a run, and I would
yeah,
love to
I'd
see
love to
that.
see Booker make a run, but I want to see LeBron go in the first round.
Oh yeah, yeah. You would. That's like the one thing that
That's the only
had.
thing. Look, that's the only game thing I care about in when it comes to the NBA is did LeBron lose? And if the answer is yes, then I had a good day watching the NBA.
Well, and LeBron's never lost in the first round of the playoffs in his career either. So
No,
this would be a first
he
for
did
him.
because
So
yeah, it was either like he didn't make it or he made it past the first round.
I mean, other than the year he was hurt with LA, did he ever not make it?
He didn't make it his first season.
His rookie year, they didn't
Yeah,
make it.
no, they didn't make the playoffs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, up to this point in his career, whenever they've made the playoffs, they've never lost. He's never lost in the first round. So
Which I mean,
that would
whenever
be
you
a
were
first
playing
for
it,
him.
whenever you were playing in the Eastern Conference for those many, like for that many years in there, like, bro, you should have made the playoffs. that conference, like from like the mid 2000s, like pretty much outside of that Detroit roster, like in the Celtics team, like that I mean, that whole conference was trash.
Yeah, the East has
The
been pretty
Wizard,
rough for a while.
The Wizards had a really good team there for a few years, with Gilbert Arenas and Karan Butler and Antoine Jameson.
Pacers had some good teams and shit too. I mean, there's been teams
Yeah,
sprinkled in there, but
and Danny Granger being like losing him to injury, like that really set that franchise back because
yeah,
um, that dude was nice back in the day.
yeah, he was.
Him
He
and
was
Paul
a
George
hooper.
would have been a sick combo together.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean that conference is trash. But yeah, if LeBron loses, I'm already good. I don't even care who wins the title. Like I'm good.
You're so petty.
I love it. I'm just being honest. I don't like that dude. Like, I mean, I don't know him personally, so I mean, I don't know. I can't say I hate him. Like I don't hate him on a personal level, but from a fan perspective, I don't enjoy anything about him.
I mean, you're not alone on that island. You're alone on this show, but you're not alone on that island.
Yeah,
There's plenty of people that feel that way.
yeah, I know.
He's LeBron. LeBron has never been my favorite player in the league at any point in his career. And whenever he went to Miami, I personally hated him because I hated Miami. Miami was my least favorite team, and D Wade was my least favorite player in the league. And now this son of a bitch wants to go to Miami and help them win some rings. So I hated LeBron, for that during that period. But other outside of that period, I've always really enjoyed LeBron and enjoyed watching him play.
I mean, like,
But
I enjoy his game for like the most part, as far as just like from a pure basketball perspective. Excuse me. Um, outside of like the flopping and shit, I don't like that. But outside of that, every other aspect of his game, I do enjoy to watch.
it's
It,
whack the guys flop. I don't disagree with that. But I don't. What I'm about to say, still keep in mind that I do think it's whack. But I don't blame the players. I blame the league and the refs because for
they
years
let
now
him get
they've been
away with
saying,
it.
yeah, they've been saying, oh, we're going to put an emphasis on this. We're going to start fining guys, yada yada yada. There has been a whopping one fine given out for flopping. One. So, I mean, that's on the league. If these guys are doing everything they can to win games, and if they know that they can flop their way to more possessions and possibly more points, it's whack that they do it. But I see why it's happening, and it's on the league to stop it. And
Oh
like
yeah,
it, so
I'm not saying. I mean, I'm not
I'm just saying I don't blame
disagreeing.
the player. I still think it's whack. Like
Yeah,
LeBron is too physically gifted to be out there flowing around. But people use that as a knock, saying LeBron isn't competitive, and I look at it the exact opposite way. Like, I mean,
I don't think.
as fans, we would rather see him, just like lock down and play lockdown defense and yada yada yada. But if he knows all I got to do is just wait for this dude to nudge me, and I can go flying, and they're going to give me a call every single time, and he knows that that's going to get him more possessions and a better chance of winning a game. Like, if you don't want that shit to happen, then start fining people and start suspending people after they get so many fines. And I mean, it's like, if we can see it clear as day on TV, I know the people making decisions for the league can see it. So start doing something about it. If you don't, like, I mean, so that's I don't really get so much frustrated with the players. I get frustrated with the league for
No, I'm
saying they're
not.
going to do shit about
Yeah,
it and
I'm
then not
not.
doing
I'm
it.
not saying anything like as far as like disagreeing with anything you're saying. And I mean, I don't hate him like with I mean, I don't think it says anything about his competitiveness, but I do think it's like it's a bitch move.
It's whack for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Flopping in general is whack, but
yeah, but I mean,
it's effective.
he's not the only one that does it. I think everybody that does it, like, I just think that's a like I'm not saying it's like a competitive thing, but I do think that's a weak-minded mentality. Like,
I
I
don't think it
mean,
has anything to do with mentality either. I think it's just purely like they know that they can get the job done.
I mean,
Mm, I don't think it has anything
I
to do
think
with
it's weak,
mentality.
but
Um,
uh,
but
but
it's
that's always been my biggest knock. Which I mean, I'm not trying to turn this into a LeBron show because we'll be here forever. Um,
yeah, we
but
could
no,
do a whole show about that because we're on pretty
yeah,
opposite ends of the LeBron
I
spectrum.
I don't respect a lot of his positions on stuff because like he's the ultimate front runner. Like when things are going good, he's all for it. When things are like, I mean, just for example, this playing tournament just this year, like he was all for the playing tournament last year. Like he was advocating for it and everything. And then the moment the Lakers are in the playing game, it's whoever came up with that idea should be fired. Like, bro, like
I don't remember even like hearing him talk about it. I can't comment on that. I don't even
no,
remember
like
hearing him
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about a playing
Well, I mean,
tournament last
like
year.
yeah, like last year they were talking about the playing games, and he was like, yeah, like all these other teams, like they should have to go through each other to make the playoffs. Like I don't know the exact word for word quote, but it was along those lines. Like yeah, like if they're at the bottom, if they're in the bottom, then yeah, they should play each other to see who can get in. Like I think that's a good concept. And then this year, now that the Lakers were in the playing game, now he's complaining about it. And
I like the playing tournament personally. I
oh,
thought
I
it
love
I
it.
thought
I
it
think it's a
added
great
some
idea.
more excitement, and
Yeah,
I hope it stays personally.
yeah.
I thought it
I
was
think
really
they
cool.
should. I mean, yeah, yeah, I really like it. I think they should keep on with it. But
Yeah.
it's just shit like that. Like that dude is like, and when things go bad, like as soon as teams start to decline or he doesn't get his way, like he's out the door. Like it's gonna happen. He's out the door. Um,
I just
he's
I
gonna
mean I
he's
knocked.
gonna he's gonna try to find and like I mean, don't get me wrong. Like yeah, you want to go to the best situation for you, but I mean also I mean, you're just gonna lose respect as for me, like, and I'm not speaking for all fans. It's just me personally. Like, I respect players more if they stay and build a champion. Like if you go through all the hard, and I'm not saying he didn't go through hard times because we obviously know like what happened with Cleveland, but I
Mm,
mean, it's really just the way he went about it more than the actual decision itself. Like because I
yeah.
can understand why you would want to go to Miami and I get wanting to leave Cleveland. I still like I don't agree with it. Like because those rings in Miami, like yeah, you got them, but I mean, yeah, I mean you got them, but
I mean I was on record plenty of times talking about how much I hated the Miami move, not so much because he went and played with better players, but just because
right.
of my hate for Miami and Dwayne Wade. But it's
Yeah, I get
just
wanting to play with good players, but I mean at the
I
same time, like
I just have a hard time. I struggle with, I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. I struggle with criticizing guys for trying to put themselves in what they feel is the best situation for their career whenever you only get one shot at a career. And, um, whether that's I want to play in one city for my entire career or, like the reality is, man, is for a while now, we're in a time with with AAU basketball and things like that, guys are used to playing with people that are as talented as they are coming up, and friendships and bonds and things like that are made, and guys see stuff like, I want to go play with this guy, before my career's up. I want to go link up with this guy, and take on the rest of the league with them, versus playing with this guy and taking on the rest of the league. Yeah, I don't think it's that guys don't want to compete, but it just bonds and friendships um, and things like that are being developed by high level players at a lot earlier age than they used to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like
I get that,
back,
but do
like
you
way
not?
back in the day,
Yeah,
these like top level guys weren't playing with each other in high school and shit like that.
yeah,
Like they,
but even when they got there, I mean, even when I mean, what free agency started 1990? Uh,
yeah, it was yeah, like the
yeah, I
right at
mean, it was something like
1990.
that. But I mean, even then, like I get wanting to play with good players, I get that. But at what point do you look at the competition level and you're just like, I mean,
Well,
what,
I think that's
what is
exactly what
it?
drives it. Is like, it was like you saw
It
teams with
almost
two
seems like an easy, like
superstars.
it's like I get wanting to play with good players. Like I said, it almost seems whenever you're combining with two of the other top 5 players or top 10 players in the NBA on one roster, and then the rest of the league is just kept scrambling. It almost seems like an easy, like it does seem like an easy way out, like to be like, well, I can get this
It,
title.
I mean,
Like,
you're
I
trying
mean,
to
you're
top
trying
the
to win.
team
The
that was
ultimate
better
goal
than
is to
you.
win, and I
Yeah,
understand that. But at the same time, like, I mean, I mean, it's the same thing with football. Like, which I mean was that's why I like football so much more because one player outside of Tom Brady, of course, like can't like it doesn't make that big of a difference.
yeah. One signing isn't going to
Yeah,
completely sway who's going to,
right.
the
Because I mean, like we
championship odds
saw, I
and
mean,
stuff.
we all, both remember for sure, like, when the Eagles went out and signed everybody in free agency, 10 years or so ago. And there's the talk about, like this could be the greatest talented team ever assembled and all that. And like the motherfuckers won like
And then
7
they flopped.
bullshit.
Yeah.
So I mean, um, it's there's so many more variables in football, but basketball is a sport where if you have one of the top 10 players, you have a chance. And then if you add two more of the top 10 players, I mean, there's only 32 teams. So I mean, like there's only so many players to go around. And whenever you're running off and you're joining all these other, players, it's
It's a
it almost
slippery. I don't.
cheapens the league to me. Like I
It's
don't
a
like
slippery slope, man. Because like, like I mean, it was like for a while it was like two players, and then Boston formed. Danny Ainge formed like the first big three, where it was through trades and stuff. It wasn't players signing that
but
way.
I mean,
But and then
see the argument
LeBron
that
was.
those three dudes were the same thing as like LeBron and Durant and like
No, they weren't at that level, but they
no, because they were all
compared to the rest of the league,
at that
though.
time, yeah. Like I
Like
mean, it was a
compared to
big
the
deal at the time,
compared to
but
the
they
like
weren't.
the way
But
that the
they
rest of the
weren't in
league
that
was
prime.
constructed,
Like,
though. But
yeah, those guys were not
Paul
like
was
you could
still
maybe
Paul Pierce
say,
was still really good,
yeah,
and
I was gonna say
KG
you
was
could
still
maybe
really good.
say Paul Pierce was a top 10 player, like, and like I wouldn't argue that he was a top 10 player. I don't think at that point Kevin Garnett was top 10,
If he
but
wasn't top 10, he wasn't
yeah,
far out
yeah,
of it.
but yeah, that's what I'm saying is like, but I
And
mean,
then
like
Ray
he's probably
Allen
top
was
20.
just really
Yeah,
good
Ray
at what
Allen
he
was,
did. Like
yeah,
he wasn't a top 10 overall player, but he was extremely good at, at what he did. But
yeah,
like
the pieces
I'm not
fit
saying
more than they were
their
individual.
big three isn't equal to the Miami big three, but compared to what the rest of the league looked like whenever Boston did that, like that was, I mean, they were, to me, they were the clear best team as soon as that happened, even though they might not have been all in their prime and things like that. It's just that the big three stuff hadn't started yet. So that was, they
No, and
looked like
really
the
they
best
only
team in
got,
the league.
I mean, they only got 1 year before everybody was pretty much old and
Right.
injured. In
Yeah.
that 1 year, they won the title.
Yeah. So, I mean, then LeBron saw that and he was like, well, I got to up that. And then the Miami Big Three was born, and then KD saw that and said, "Well, I got to up that." And then Golden, like it's just been
And now
it.
Brooklyn, it's the same thing. It's like, well, like we gotta,
Whenever I say it's a slippery slope, though, it's like, yeah, I can't say us because we've been doing this for, I think it's like our 24th show, but like critics and people in general, it used to be, oh, well, you don't have any rings. You hadn't won a ring. And then now it's like, oh, you got rings, but look how you got the rings. It's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't type of thing. And I think I just think it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
like I said, like you said, it is, and really, in all honesty, I think it's personal preference on who the argument's for. Because, like me personally, Damian Lillard could end his career today with 0 rings, and I respect him more as a player. And like, I know you're probably gonna get mad about this, but like, I respect him more for sticking with the bullshit that he's put up with, and like just trying his damnedest every single year. And he's not recruiting dudes. He's just like, y'all just bring dudes in, get on my back, let's fucking go. Like, I respect that mentality personally more than Durant joining a 72 win team. Like,
I mean, yeah,
that's just me personally. I
I don't
mean, like,
care. I don't care who you have more respect for, who you don't, stuff like that.
right.
Like I'm not gonna get mad at him. Like if where I would get pissed off is if you were like Damian Lillard is a better all-time player than Kevin Durant. Now I'm pissed. If you say I have more respect for
Well,
this guy, then
no, anybody
I
with
don't.
2 eyes, anybody with
I
two
don't.
eyes can see
I,
that.
I love Damian. Damian Lillard is one of my favorite players in the league. He's not far behind. Like I mean, everybody's I guess in theory far behind KD because he's my favorite player of all time. But like he's not very far. He's probably one of my three, because Ja would probably be my second favorite player in the league. So I mean, he's probably like my third, fourth favorite player in the league. Like I'm with you. I love Dame. He hit another. He just hit a clutch three to to send the game into overtime against Denver. Again, like Dame time is just like a thing now. Like he needs to get that shit copyrighted with how many clutch shots he's hit. But no, I mean, yeah, it's a personal preference thing. I just I don't know. I did my thing where I missed out on a lot of really good LeBron basketball because I hated his ass whenever he was in Miami. And like I just wouldn't watch a lot of it, or I would just like everything he did, I looked at it with a negative attitude. Like I tried to just like undermine what he was doing. And I missed out on a lot of prime years of probably the best player, one of the best players, since I've been alive. And so I just kind of was like, once he left Miami, and I got over that, even before anything else happened, once he went back to Cleveland, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just gonna, appreciate it while it's here and while I can see it. Um, but yeah, no, it's a personal preference thing, man, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just kind of where I stand. Like I said, it is nothing personal. I don't know the dudes on a personal level. So I mean, I can't hate another human that I don't know on a deep personal level.
Yeah.
Um, but that doesn't mean I have to respect some of their decisions, like as
No.
a fan. Like, and like I said, it's not even respecting them as a person. I mean, I probably have the utmost respect for like 99% of those dudes. Um, Now, like I said, some of that stuff with LeBron is like how he goes about situations. Like, I don't respect that because him flip flopping his not basketball flopping, but I'm just like his positions. Like he's always to me just been like a front runner. Like when everything's good, then everything's good, and when it's bad, then it's everybody else's fault. This is a bad idea. We should do this. We should do this. It's never I. Um, and that it just rubs me the wrong way. And really, like, in all honesty, it ain't even LeBron. Like, most of it's LeBron fans on the internet. Like, that shit is so annoying. Like
Yeah,
the
social media has
yeah,
really made
like
things a
yeah,
lot worse.
yeah.
Like
It's not even the dude personally. Like, it's the fans. Like, he never has any help. He doesn't do
I
the
think if social media
like
didn't
that shit is
exist,
so
people
old.
wouldn't hate LeBron as much either. Because anytime LeBron does anything, good or bad, it gets
Oh yeah,
magnified times a million. If he does something great, you can't scroll on anything without seeing it 30 times. And if he does something bad, you can't scroll anything
Sports
without seeing
Center.
it 30
We're
some
looking at
times.
you, Sports
Like it's
Center.
just reality. Whether it's something, whether he flops or whether he
Yeah.
hits a
I
game
mean,
winner,
yeah,
you're seeing it 90 times.
guarantee you right now, the Suns win this series. LeBron's out in the first round. Guarantee you there is a post with the NBA finals going on about what LeBron thinks, like, about that game. Like, I mean, it's annoying. Like, instead of actually like posting about like tonight, for example, the Suns are gonna beat the dog shit out of them. They're gonna beat them by 30 points. You know what tonight's gonna be about? LeBron. It's not gonna be
Well,
about the
it's
Suns.
gonna be about Anthony Davis because he didn't play.
No, they'll talk about does LeBron have enough help? That's what the headlines will be.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it should be about the Suns. I mean, the answer to that is no,
Right.
um, I mean,
The answer to that
it
is
should be about the
yes.
Suns.
Yes, he does. That
No, I mean, without Anthony Davis, that roster's pretty tough. It's
it's not.
pretty rough. Like you got Dennis Schroeder's nice,
It's not.
but what?
OVG. It wasn't bad. I mean, so you're telling me the only difference between, I mean, I guess Jamison Crowder it makes that big of a difference because he's not on the Lakers this year. They won the title last year, so
Yeah, I don't think they had a very tough finals matchup to do it personally. I mean, they still had to get there. But yeah, I mean, Anthony Davis does make that much of a difference. Absolutely.
well,
He's
no, I'm
one
saying
of, if
Anthony
not the,
Davis. Yeah, like I get that. Like, and I don't think they win. Like,
yeah,
obviously,
that's
they
what
don't
I'm,
win last year without Anthony Davis.
that's
But
what I'm saying. That is the
you're saying
difference
the
for me.
rest of the roster is not good, and I mean,
They've
really
got
the
a
only
couple of good
difference is, I
players.
mean, they traded like what Jamison Crowder for Dennis Schroeder. That's like the one big difference between the
I
top.
like Schroeder. The big thing for me is if
Yeah,
they
to
don't
me,
have
that's an upgrade. Like, if anything, it's even
if they
up.
don't have AD, I mean that's the thing for me. Like if they don't have AD, that roster absolutely isn't good enough. Um,
No, not to win a title, I don't think. But I mean,
not even to beat the Suns.
nah,
Like
the Suns, nah,
like the Suns are a really good team.
yeah, the Suns are really good. They're really good.
Um, but I mean, so we've got Phoenix moving on. Who you have? Denver, because we kind of went off there a little bit, but who cares?
Yeah,
It's our show. We do what we want.
yeah, exactly.
Uh, who do
Who's
you
gonna tell us
have?
no?
Yeah, right. All you got to do is just not watch. Who do you have between Denver and Portland? I mean, it's looking, this game's in overtime. We get
Man,
a
I
like a
think
real
Denver is
time.
gonna pull it out. Like,
You
as
think
much
they end up pulling it out?
as much as I love Damian Lillard, and like I wish that they would win. Like, I want to like to me that dude and Chris Paul are the two dudes right now that I want to see win a title more than anybody. Like,
Chris Paul is another guy I
uh,
just always didn't like, man. I
uh,
couldn't stand He's just like a little like smudgy. Like I don't know.
I
I
know,
feel like he's like one
no,
of the most low key dirty players, and like he does it's so low key, man. Just low key trip somebody, low key take somebody to the ground, just and then whenever somebody calls him
they,
out on it, he
they
gets his
call
State
that
Farm
they
face.
call that crafty. That's
Yeah, yeah.
crafty. Crafty play.
He's a he's scrappy. I mean,
Scrappy.
he's just a scrappy guy. Man, I just have don't like Chris Paul. Um, but I'm taking Portland, man, and it purely might just be my love for Damian Lillard. But
Oh
I do
yeah,
think
Damian Lillard is like, well, right now, like if I had to pick a favorite player in the league, it's Luca. Like, I love Luca. Um, I don't know why. Like, it may like call me a racist, whatever, because he's white and he's my favorite player. I'm like, whatever. Don't give me that bullshit. But I like his game because he's not fast. He can't jump. I mean, he can dunk, but he can't jump. He's just really good, like at basketball, like his skills. Like, he's just really good. He's not gonna be faster than you. He's not gonna, you know,
bro, Dame just hit another 3-pointer to force a second overtime.
that dude is
This man
legit.
has two two
If they don't win this
game
game,
tying
man,
three
that's
pointers.
if Portland does not win this game, they're getting blown out the next game.
The reality is, man, if Jamal Murray doesn't get hurt and he's not out for the year, then
This is probably a sweep.
yeah, this series is probably over.
They're
That's the
probably the
big.
one seed, or at least
I
the
mean,
two.
my love for Dame is a big reason I'm picking Portland to win, but that's the other big reason. It's just the fact that they don't have Jamal Murray, and I mean the Joker is incredible. Um, probably going to end up winning MVP. But Jamal Murray is a big piece of that team, man, and so I think and I just think that Phoenix and Portland in the second round would be so much fun to watch too. So like
Yeah,
I would rather watch that than as
I
much as I
would too.
love watching Jokic. Like I
I
would
would
rather
too.
watch that series. So
The more
that's what I'm
Damian
hoping for.
Lillard I get on my TV,
Yeah,
the better the product is.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm going to go Denver, just head pick, but I mean, I would love to see Portland win. And then we
So
both
what
got the
about
Suns winning. So then that leaves the Clippers and the Mavericks.
yeah, what about your favorite player?
Oh man, dude, he's been going off in this series too. Like
Hmm.
he's been annihilating.
Yeah, him and Tim Hardaway basically just been carrying that team.
Yeah,
Basically just
and see
Luka, but
that's
Tim Hardaway's been playing well
yeah
too.
that's why I mean that's why like unfortunately I do have to pick the Clippers just because they're so much
Yep.
more of a complete team. Um, Dallas, that's the good thing is like you know, Dallas is willing, like Mark Cuban, say what you want, about him, but I mean, he will do anything in his power to put together a winning roster. The
Yeah.
Porzingis trade has not worked out well, but it was a shot, and they took a shot on a talented dude. So I mean, they'll take some more shots. They'll try to pair Luca up with another, one or two, star level guys. And I think once that dude gets a running mate to where he doesn't have to make every play,
Hmm.
you know, by himself, I think that team is going to be dangerous. I can see that dude winning multiple titles. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Luka's a beast.
yeah, I'm excited for the Mavericks, and um, I mean, not even a Mavericks fan. I just really like Luka. I don't look. I'm a Bulls fan technically. Like I like the Chicago Bulls. The minute that they fired Tom Thibodeau, and like I told all my buddies this, I was like, man, like the Derrick Rose thing happened and then everything kind of went downhill. And I was like, look, like I've waited years and years to actually have like a competent coach. I was like, the minute they fire Tom Thibodeau, I'm out. Like until they fire Paxton and Gar Foreman and like all those dudes in the front office, I'm out. And so like they fired Tom Thibodeau. I have not watched a Bulls game since. Not a single damn one. Like uh whenever those dudes get fired and they hire some new management and Reinsdorf sells the team, if that ever happens, I'll be right back in there. But until that moment, I'm done. I can't do it. I can't do it. They ran Michael Jordan out of town. They ran Scottie Pippen out of town. Like losing those two dudes, like whenever I was growing up, because I mean, obviously every kid in the '90s was a huge Bulls fan. Um, but I mean, I loved the Chicago Bulls when I was a kid. And just whenever those two dudes got ran out of town, I was already pissed. And then obviously they didn't do shit for like another like 10 years after that until they drafted Derrick Rose, on which they got lucky because they had like a 0.4% chance to get that number one pick. And they got it. Um, and then he got hurt. And then it's just been a roller coaster since. And then I was like, they get rid of Thibodeau, I'm out. So I'm technically, I guess you could say a Bulls fan, but really I just watch mainly for gambling purposes. like to be honest, like I bet on NBA games every now and then. I don't really watch them to enjoy it because I don't like the way the game is played today. Um, Call me an old man, tell me to get off my lawn, like I whatever. Um, I don't like it. I think there's too many 3-pointers. These dudes just run down the court like rebound, 3-pointer, rebound, 3-pointer, rebound. Like you would literally watch a game and you will see that 5 times in a row. Like just a dude gets a rebound. Like if I wanted to watch that shit, I just go down to the YMCA down there and watch a rec league game because that's what it looks like. I love Steph Curry. Steph Curry has ruined the NBA. All you got all these fucking dudes out here thinking they can jack shit up like that, and they can't. Um, yeah, I mean, I was talking to Jared about this like a month ago because there was a regular season game and it didn't even go into overtime. I'm just talking about pure regular season game. It was like 156 to like 130 something, and I was like, that shit is garbage. Like I don't want to watch that. Like I don't like, and it wasn't
Look,
because these dudes like, and like I get it. Players today are more athletic. They're more skilled. Like all that. Like I get that. Y'all don't have to tell me none of that. I don't. I don't like that shit, man. Like I want to see I want to see one-on-one like man defense, hand checking. Let me put my hands on you. Let me lock you up. I'm an old head. That's what I grew up on. I like watching that type of basketball. I like watching physicality. And
I liked watching that too. I like watching basketball
the
now, but
minute they
even
got rid
saying
of hand
that,
checking, it's been
I
trash
don't
ever
really
since.
like watching outside of a few, like matchups. I don't even like watching regular season basketball, like for the NBA. Like I like the league right now. Like I'm still a big NBA fan. Um, but I don't even like really watching regular season basketball. The NBA doesn't I keep up with KD
It's
all year,
easily, yeah, it's easily
but
the fourth best, or my fourth. I could even say fifth in my sports.
oh, it's still my
Uh,
third favorite. But like outside of keeping up with KD and what he's doing in the regular season, I don't really tap in the NBA until like the second round of the playoffs normally. Like from that point forward, there's not better basketball in the world. Like those guys, the most talented players on the planet playing, at the highest level, just full effort. Because like guys don't give it their all every single possession in the regular season. It's just the reality. It's an 82 game season. They're not going to. Um, and that's part of what makes it, not as fun to watch. But once you get into the thick of things in the playoffs and you've got these guys that are literally the best at what they do on the planet, and now, the stakes are as high as it gets, I don't think there's better basketball. Like March Madness might be more exciting for some people. March Madness is sloppy ass basketball.
yeah, I don't like. I don't.
like,
Yeah.
like it,
I'm one of the rare dudes that like. I will say I like the NBA better than I like college basketball.
Yeah, like the whole one and out thing with March Madness and stuff, it brings a different level of excitement to it.
Yeah,
But
because dudes give a shit.
but
Like,
that is some sloppy ass basketball that's being
man,
played, especially right now in college with
oh my
with
god,
player with guys not playing in college, as long. It's gotten even worse.
it's so
So
bad. Like college
I
basketball
mean,
is terrible right now.
like once you get into like the second round of the playoffs in the NBA, count me in. Like that is a blast to watch because these guys are out here the best. Like I've already said, they're the best at what they do on the planet, and they're playing at max effort. There's not better basketball in the world from that point on. And that's coming from somebody that loves the NBA still, not maybe not as much as I did overall back then. But I still love this game and love watching these guys play. But even I'm like, I might watch 7, 8 regular season games, man. I mean, it's not that watchable. And there's some people that watch that shit, every single night, and then that's whatever. But
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'll watch it. Like if there's nothing on, I'll turn on an NBA game
mhm.
and I'll watch it for betting purposes. Like I'll throw some money down. I'll sit there and watch a quarter of it. But it always gets to that point to where like I'll literally watch 5 possessions in a row where dudes get a rebound, 30-footer, rebound, 23-footer, rebound, 25-footer. Like and
That's what the
that will
analytics and shit
literally,
tells them to do is you
yeah,
either
that
go
will
to the cup.
literally go down the floor and do that. Like I literally watched a Portland. I think it was Portland and who was it this season? Because it was about a month ago, and because I remember calling Jared and I was like, I can't, like, I put money down on this game. I can't even watch it. Like I'll look at it when I wake up in the morning to see if I'm.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't watch it because it's terrible. Like I was like, these dudes literally went 5 times down the court, no ball movement, like none. I mean, got the rebound, passed the ball to the point guard, 3-point shot, and oh my god, like I just it's such a bad product to like sit and enjoy, and to me it's been like that. Honestly, it's even been like that since like the mid 2000s. Once they got rid of hand checking and you couldn't d nobody up like by like putting your hands on, like you can't touch anybody. It's been downhill, and like I know why the NBA did it. Like they wanted higher scoring games. They got tired of that the 76 to 70, basketball games. They want
College
more
scores.
scoring for fans and shit like that.
Mhm.
I liked those games. Like that shit was fun because it was hard. Like it was like, like if you want to score this basket, you're gonna have to fucking get through me. And
Yeah, I mean the regular season was even still kind of boring back then to
oh
me.
yeah. And it
But
was
like the playoffs were
the
definitely
intensity. Yeah.
even the competitiveness I talked about, for the playoffs now, it was more intense back then, just because the rules allowed it to be.
Yeah.
But
I mean, today, like you got dudes out like I mean, we go back to the flopping thing. Like you got dudes getting, like boxed out on a rebound, and like I mean, just a regular box out on a rebound, and they'll go flying, 10 feet. I mean, and these dudes are not small. Like I'm looking at you, LeBron, like because it's the same shit you did like the other night with Chris Paul. Like Chris Paul, 6 foot, maybe 6 foot, what 200 pounds, boxes out LeBron, who's every bit of six. It says 6'8". That motherfucker's probably every bit of 6'9", 6'10", about 270. Just a box out on a rebound, and this dude ends up 5 feet away from, like, come on, man. Like, that's like I can't enjoy that shit. Like I just can't do it. So I'm not huge into basketball, but we got off topic again because this I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Um,
NBA decision makers, if you ever somehow listen to this, bring back hand checking
please
and
God.
and start actually finding these guys for flopping. And then after you have to find them a couple times to start suspending these guys, like do what you said you were going to do years ago whenever y'all said y'all were going to start finding people for that shit. Like
Yeah, and
there has
stop these dudes from teaming up too, like you did Chris Paul and Kobe, because y'all don't like that shit.
yeah, they shouldn't stop people from teaming up. They should have never done that in the first place. That was
Yeah, you
whack
don't
as
want
shit.
didn't want Kobe to have anything, but the moment LeBron does it, y'all are good with it.
And that was super whack. So I mean, we both got Utah and the Clippers playing, and then we've got the
The
Suns
Suns and the
playing
Nuggets.
somebody. I've got Portland, you've got the Nuggets, but as far as Utah and the Clippers go, if that one comes to fruition like we think it is, who would you have winning that one?
I think the Clippers win that one.
Yeah, I
I,
agree. I think
yeah, I
so
think
too.
even as Utah, like I get they won more regular season games, but look, we all know in the playoffs, it's the stars that matter.
Hmm.
And the Clippers have two of the biggest stars in the
Kawhi
league.
and PG are pretty known regular season load management players too. So,
Yeah,
you didn't see the Clippers to their full potential a whole lot in the regular season either.
no,
So yeah, I've got the Clippers over Utah too.
yeah. And then
And then the Suns versus whoever either one of us have. Are you picking the Suns to beat you
yeah,
had them playing
I
Denver? Are
am.
you
I'm
picking the
taking the
Suns to beat
Suns.
Denver? I am
I
too.
think it'll be the Suns and the Clippers.
Yeah, I would have Portland playing them, but either way, I've got the Suns and Clippers as well. So I mean, different ways to get there, but we both get the same way. So then now
We
this
have
one's going to be fun.
yeah.
If it does come out this way,
So we
this is going
have
to be fun.
so we have Brooklyn, and let's say, we have Brooklyn in the finals, and then you have the Clippers and the Suns.
I'm taking the Clippers. I think it's not easy, man, but I think it's going to be the
I'm
Clippers
taking
and
the
the
Suns.
Nets. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm taking the
that
Suns.
that's who I would be rooting for, even despite Chris
That's just what I'm
Paul.
doing.
But
Like I'm rooting for the Suns. So
yeah,
I'm going all
no,
in.
yeah, I like Aiden, and then obviously I love Booker as a Kentucky fan, and
Right.
then campaign and stuff like that. Like I would
I
prefer to
like
see
Chris Paul too.
Phoenix.
Chris
Yeah,
Paul's another one of them dudes that
look, I
his,
have gotten a lot more respect for him over the years because he just keeps going to these teams that have underperformed, and then he keeps just completely flipping the culture and turning, like whenever he got traded to OKC, everybody was like, "Oh, he's just gonna sit,"
waste
like
away. Yeah.
yeah, like and then he ended up turning him into like a 4 seed or a 5 seed, some shit like that. Like,
That's
you
what he
know,
does, but he just can't ever get past the second round. I don't know what
right?
it is, but
Yeah,
I mean I like Chris Paul. He reminds me of an old school type player. That's why I probably like him. Because
yeah, yeah, probably.
he doesn't take shit from anybody, and he fucks around with a lot of people, and I think that's hilarious.
You see, like, and that's it's weird because I'm sitting here thinking about it. I don't like Chris Paul, but I love Russell Westbrook, and
Yeah,
I think he's kind of the same type of player, like the same type of mindset. Like I
yeah,
love Westbrook.
I like Russell.
Um, and like I hope he gets to another like top contender again soon. Like I hope he there or Washington somehow turns it
I
around, like
don't like
whatever.
as much as I love Russell and I like his mentality. I don't think the way he plays is necessarily like inducive of like winning basketball.
I think he could do the same. Like he's obviously not the same outside shooter as Harden, but outside of that, I think he could do the same thing for a winning team that Harden is doing right now for the Nets. Um, Like he doesn't have the step back three aspect of his game that Harden has. Like that you have to
No.
respect that, you know. But like I think outside of having an outside jumper that's reliable, I think he can do some of the same stuff that um, that like I want to hope that he learned from whenever he was with KD and Harden, and he was just trying to like there's
See,
like
that's what I'm saying.
it's
It's not necessarily that like it's his game. It's just like,
he sometimes he just tries to do too
yeah,
much.
he's got bad timing.
He's got
He's got
over the top
bad timing.
confidence where like he just like you
Oh
can't
my
tell him
gosh.
shit.
Yep. The Nuggets won.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh, they did. Dame had
They had 55
55
and
and they lost by
lost.
7. Wow. Okay. Well, Nuggets are more likely moving on then because I mean it's going to be tough for Portland to beat them 2 games in a row now. But that sucks, man. That sucks for Dame. But okay, so I've got Clippers, Nets, you've got Suns, Nets, which is what I would prefer to see. But um, so Suns, Nets, who you got?
Man, oh, I mean, as much as I would love to pick the Suns, I just like the Nets are too tough to overcome. So I mean, I'm gonna go with the Nets to win it all. They've really surprised me with how they've came together. Um, I still don't know like much about their defense. I don't know if they play like great defense, but I don't really think it matters, honestly, because nobody really plays great defense.
um,
I mean, who's a really good defensive team in the NBA? Like I know the Suns are really good,
yeah, the
um,
Suns are pretty good.
but even then, I mean,
The Knicks were a really good defensive team.
yeah, and then we see what's happening there.
That hasn't worked out too well.
I just
I
think
mean,
I think the star power is too much in Brooklyn, and that's what these guys did. Like that's part of the reason why I don't like watching basketball because from the moment that trade went down, everybody knew. I mean, you basically have one or two actual contenders in a 32 team league on a yearly basis. Like how many years in a row did we get Cleveland and Golden State in the finals? Every single
yeah,
season.
yeah, I don't think
You
as
have 32
extreme as
teams, and
that
whenever you only
was.
have two teams that technically really kind of matter, um, it's a bad product, and that's part of the reason why I don't like dudes teaming up like that because
Yeah, I
it
mean, in
just
the West, I think you have probably 3, 4 teams realistically that could make the finals.
they could make the finals, but are any of them beating Brooklyn?
Maybe not, but man, I don't want to doubt Brooklyn because I'm a Nets fan, but they're going to have their hands full with the Bucks, man. This is not the same Bucks team from the last couple of years that have just come up short in the playoffs. I really do believe that. Now Giannis has his limitations, until he gets that jumper to where kind of how you can play him. But Drew Holiday, man, he just gives that team a whole nother aspect to where the Nets are going to have their hands full. I do think that they're going to win the game, but
Yeah,
like
who's the other dude on there too? Who else they got? Chris
Chris
Middleton,
Middleton. Yeah, that's essentially their big three, and it's not the big three on the Nets level, clearly, but
right?
they they are definitely a much better defensive big three. Like you're talking, Drew Holiday is one of the best defensive guard in the leagues. Giannis is arguably the best defensive player in the league, and Chris Middleton isn't a bad defensive player either. Um, but so I think it's going to be tough, man. But again, this lends, it leans toward offense. So I do think Brooklyn will have the upper hand for that reason. So KD's a walking 30, and then Drew is kind of better sorted to guard smaller guards like Kyrie. Like
Kyrie.
I think Kyrie's going to have a tough time, but they don't. Harden is going to get what he wants in that series. I think that's going to be the big difference. But yeah, I mean, I think that if they were all healthy, if everybody was healthy, if everything was even, I think that there would be a decent argument, a good argument for 3 teams in the East with the Sixers, the Nets, and the Bucks, and 4 or 5 teams really in the West. If the Lakers were healthy, and then the Suns, and if the Nuggets had Jamal Murray, and then the Clippers and Utah. Um,
I mean,
I
you
do
can make
think
arguments for every team, but at the end of the day, like I
well,
said,
I don't think it's gonna
everybody
like I'm just saying
everybody
I don't
knew
think it's
whenever
as
whenever that
I don't
Harden
think it's
trade
as
happened, it was
extreme Well, I don't want to say everybody because there was a lot of people. I was in that, but I was in that boat. I was like, oh, it's a wrap, and like even in our sleeper chat, I was given a lot of shit for that. Like before the Harden trade even happened, whenever it was just rumors, like, oh, there's
Yeah,
only
I
one
mean,
ball
I
that
wanted to
that
see him
can't
play before it was
that
over
can't
that.
work. Like I mean, like I was given a lot of shit for
I mean,
saying that like
but I remember.
Harden's a better passer than he's given credit for. Even whenever he was with Houston, like he was a much better passer than people gave him credit for. Like they were just, he was like seventh, eighth
I
in the league
remember
in
we were
assists or
out.
something like that,
Um,
and people just chalked it up to like, oh, he's just got to do that. Like
but I
no,
mean,
Harden
but it's not
is.
even just this season. I mean, it's just like in previous years because I remember being out. I remember being out golfing whenever the Kevin Durant news broke that he was going to Golden State, and we were out.
Oh, that was a wrap. Yeah.
Yeah, like we were playing golf, and it was just like, I remember Jared looking at me and be like, "Well, I'm not watching the NBA this year."
Yeah, no,
I mean,
that
like, yeah,
my
like
my
there's
point has basically been
and
that it's
and
not.
all the dudes that said that were 100% right. I mean,
Yeah,
like, unless you
no,
enjoyed the game, like there's no point to it because you knew
my
what was happening.
my point is the league. I don't think it's as extreme now as it was whenever we were getting those Golden State and Cleveland rematches year after year. I do think the league it was much more wide open before the Harden trade. But even with the Harden trade, I don't think it's as extreme as it was. There still is, it still is a top heavy league, and I think it's going to be that way moving forward. I just think that's the nature of the NBA now, unfortunately, and I do think that's unfortunate. Um, but I don't think it's as bad as it was whenever we were like, all right, we got Cleveland versus Golden State part six. Like I don't think it's as bad as it was then. Um, but it's still definitely top heavy though, and I think it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
But
that's the way the league is, and that's why like most of my favorite sports are, uh, they're
deeper
very,
rosters.
yeah. I mean, it's outside of, well, I mean, like UFC. Like that's probably my third favorite sport is the UFC, and obviously that's a one-on-one sport. But I mean, it's another one. Like, any given night, no matter how great of a fighter you are, no, it doesn't matter who you are. All it takes is one shot, and it's game over. Um,
Yeah, I
and so
mean,
like I like
baseball and
that
football are
aspect.
far and away. Like
Yeah,
basketball is still
yeah,
number three
yeah.
for me,
Baseball and
but
football, there's so much many variables, and I
mhm,
mean, you even have you you could literally have separate seasons within one season on both of those sports. Like you could be like, oh well, this team was the best team for half the year, and then
right?
they just you just fall off, or this team gets hot at the right time, and the New York Giants win two Super Bowls. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I like that more than I like the whole.
Oh, I agree. I enjoy
It's,
baseball and football, and like as much as I like basketball, and it is my third favorite sport, it's a distant third, from baseball and football. Those are far and away the two
yeah.
best
I need
sports
I
to
need to
me.
get you over here to a I need to get you over here to a fight night now that you're back in town.
Yeah, UFC is something I've never really got into, man. I mean, I love like the WWF and WWE growing up as a kid. I know that's not UFC. I know, that's more, but
Right.
like that's why like the only UFC fighter I really ever got into was Conor McGregor. It's just like he just felt like a
He's a
WWE fighter
yeah.
to
I'll say
me.
he is like a WWE.
But outside of that, I've never really gotten into UFC. I always like boxing. Like I'm not a I don't
Grew up
know
on
near as
boxing.
much.
My
I don't know
my
near
was
as
just
much
boxing.
about boxing. I'm not like a boxing historian or anything like that. But just like as a casual, I've always enjoyed watching boxing. Just sitting down to watch a boxing match, other than watching Floyd here lately. I get bored watching those fights. But um,
See, I don't actually like weirdly enjoy watching Floyd. 'Cause
I like some of his stuff that I
he's so
saw like
technical.
earlier on. Yeah, it's just
He's
like
so he's so good that it looks
that.
boring.
Well, and then that's how you know that I'm a boxing casual. Like that, like I'm not like a huge boxing guy, so like I'm not gonna enjoy.
Yeah,
I want to see
that's
people get knocked the fuck
that's
out.
yeah, that's
You
yeah,
know?
that's what it. Floyd Mayweather fights are what it looks like whenever you are that much better than everybody else. It looks good.
Right?
But if you know
Yeah.
what you're looking for, Floyd Mayweather fights can be like the most insane clinic that you'll ever watch.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. And I can appreciate that. I
yeah.
just can't. I just can't sit there and, and act like
See,
I,
the UFC
I
is
enjoy
different.
it.
The UFC is way different because the U like in boxing, it's about who's the better boxer.
Right.
Like it is a sport. UFC is about like who's the baddest motherfucker in this cage. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if it's knocking you out. It doesn't matter if it's getting you on the ground and just dominating you. It doesn't matter if it's pulling out jujitsu and submitting you like from multiple angles. Like the entire goal of both of those dudes in that cage is to come out on top. And the intensity of every single fight, because whenever you get into that type of a level, like you're fighting, like you're trying to keep your lights on. Like that's
Right. Yeah.
like you're trying not to end up in a hospital bed. And whenever that kind of shit is on the line, that's whenever like that intensity really comes out.
That
And
shit done got real.
stuff like that's the only sport I can get Emily to sit down and watch with me is a UFC. She likes watching UFC fights. Um
Hey, well, that's
and
perfect
so
for you though, man. With how much
oh
you
yeah.
enjoy it. If I actually sat down and watched it, I'm
Yeah,
sure I would
dude,
enjoy it. I've
and
just
this
never
next
made
card,
myself sit down and watch it.
the next card coming up is going to be it's a really really good one. Um, so yeah, we'll have to set something up, and like I mean, I'll pay for it. We'll get you over here. You ain't got to chip in. You can just come enjoy. We'll grill some steaks up, have some beers, and I'll kind of introduce you a little bit to the world because it's once you get into it, dude, it's so addicting. It's so much fun. It's the best. Like outside of football and obviously baseball, like how I am with baseball. I mean, it's easily the like my third like passion sport. And in all honesty, I probably watch more UFC than I even watch baseball during baseball season. I just like baseball more. Um, but there, I mean, baseball is so long. Um, that
I know. I love
it's
it, man.
that it's so long. It's hard to keep up with outside of fantasy, on games on a daily basis. But UFC, I mean, you pretty much have. I mean, it's every Saturday. It's every Saturday. You have like fight nights every Saturday on ESPN Plus, and then once a month you have the big ass like pay per view fights, and those fights, especially with the way that they have been, like in probably the last year, they've been loaded. And like, if I can get you into it, man, you're coming in at such a good time because some of the talent that is coming up, like I know you've heard us talk about Francis Ngannou.
Mhm.
This dude legit has the potential to be like watching the Mike Tyson of the UFC. Like you're coming in at that type of a level. Like
Oh
if you get
wow.
into it, it would be like watching Tyson fight in the 80s. Like if he goes on the run that everybody thinks he's about to go on.
Yeah.
So I mean, if there was ever a time to get into it, it's the fastest growing sport in the world, like the world. Um, this is this is the time because you got some fucking lit ass fighters in there. So, um, but that's enough about my UFC spill. This is an NBA podcast. We don't.
That was just a brief look in for anybody that's
Oh my
actually made
god.
it this
Yeah.
far. That was a brief look in of what usually happens for like the 30, 45 minutes before we actually hit record. And
Yeah.
we usually sit here for at least like 30 minutes, if not longer,
And
just
just talk.
bullshitting before we even, actually start. So this is just a little preview of, of what that usually is like. Um,
See, that's what I'm hoping for because I'm hoping I can get you into UFC and then we can just cut UFC podcasts.
Hey, y'all can still do
Um,
them. I ain't gotta get, like
yeah,
you can get
but
Aaron in on here. Y'all can still,
oh my
I'll
god,
sit
yeah,
here. I'll
because me
sit
and
here and
Aaron,
just,
like, I mean, outside of his opinion on John Jones, um, which is a terrible opinion, I don't understand how you call a dude that's never lost a fight in his career trash. That makes no sense to me. But hey, it is what it is.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
y'all can get
we
on
agree on
there.
a lot of fighting stuff.
Y'all can get on here and do a UFC show, and I'll, even, I mean, even if
We
I
get
can't
speed.
hop
Can
on
I
or
get
whatever.
speed on here with him too?
Ah, man, we'll have to put all sorts of censored shit and stuff
We
on
don't
that one.
censor anything. When do we ever censor anything?
We might get banned on YouTube if I
God.
put that one up. That's why I'm saying we have to censor some shit.
Oh,
We're gonna get we're gonna get alt F forward on YouTube. Um,
it'd be used as evidence in a murder investigation.
right.
Especially with this podcast. This is
But yeah. I ain't gotta get into UFC for y'all to cut a show about it, man. I'm always down to dedicate some episodes to that because I know how much you guys like that stuff, and I know
yeah.
that
I'm dead serious now that you're back into town.
there's a big audience for
I'm
that
get
too. So
I'm getting you up to a fight here. I got this nice 70-inch 4K TV right here. We can watch Dana cheap out people on, fucking talk shit and all that. Yeah, it's fight nights are good. Fight nights are good. And I got ESPN Plus, so we ain't even got to pay for that. We already got it. So, but yeah, I mean, so basically, we both have the Brooklyn Nets. Basically, we
Feels
both have the
good.
Brooklyn Nets.
I know it. I know it sucks for you, man. But me being, KD's my favorite player of all time. If things go the way that I think it will, I'm gonna get to watch him get another ring. And if he plays the way he usually does on the final stage, I'm sure he's gonna get another Finals MVP because I don't know if that guy's ever had a Finals game where he didn't score 30. I'm not. I mean, I'm sure he might have had a couple, but like just being a little bit sarcastic, but a little bit serious. I mean, I even whenever they got killed by Miami, I think he averaged 30 that series. I mean, and he was young in that series. I mean,
He was mauled that entire series by
he takes
LeBron.
it, yeah, he takes it to another level, and on that on those stages. So it sucks for a lot of NBA fans, but being a KD fan, it's great for me, man. I'm gonna soak it in while I can because eventually he's going to stop playing basketball, and I'm going to like the sport just a little bit less because I can tell you with him being out a lot here recently with these injuries and stuff, um, that almost made me realize even more just how much like how highly I was on him because I just like my love for basketball went down whenever I didn't get to watch him play. I've just always really enjoyed watching him play basketball, man. So I hope I hope these guys stay healthy for years and they can keep this run going, and then I can watch this for as long as possible because I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with cutting an NBA podcast with somebody who doesn't like the NBA. This is
That's all
what you
right.
get right here. You
We
get UFC talk and talking shit about LeBron.
we got it out the way now. We don't got to talk about NBA, for
And,
like another 6-7 months. I'm sure
well,
we'll
no, I mean,
do.
we'll talk about whoever wins the title and all that. We'll do that, but
Yeah, yeah.
we'll
But
mention
now
them briefly. But
we can get back to baseball and football now. We got this show behind us, so we can get back to what the
yeah,
both of us,
your
enjoy
boy,
much
your
more.
boy got George Kittle today, so I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah,
My
yeah. I
only
mean,
share, my only share of George Kittle, but at the cost of probably my only share of Jamar Chase, because that's probably who that third pick's going to be.
yeah, yeah, probably so. Yeah, that's something I'm excited to kind of get to talk that out with each other live on here next, like maybe next week. I don't know. We hadn't talked about what we're going to talk about, but
We'll figure it out.
yeah, it's gonna be fun to get to dissect some of this stuff. But yeah, so
Dude,
Brooklyn Nets are.
Emily said that I haven't been here. She's like tonight because I've been laying in bed, just like been like contemplating, like, did I fuck up? Because and she's like, what's wrong with you? So I literally spent like 10 minutes explaining the ins and outs of the trade to her. Like, I'm
Yeah,
like, this is what it could mean for his squad, but at the same time, I got George Kittle. So like, is it worth it?
right.
I don't know. And she's just like, yeah, you're not here tonight. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
no,
good in the world.
I started sweating as soon as I hit send on that trade, man. So I know what you feel. I had to go turn on some Kyle Pitts college highlights to make myself feel a little
Hell
bit
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Um,
I literally, that's the first thing I did when I hit accept. Is I was like, George Kittle highlights. I was like,
yeah,
let me feel better about.
yeah, I got to go remind myself because I think people kind of forgot how good that dude is just because he didn't get to play much last year. Like
Nah.
I didn't get
But
which
whenever he
granted,
did play, I don't think he finished lower than third. Like,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
like the games he played. So
yeah,
it is what it is. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out one way or another. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and end the show here. Obviously, I'll let you do the closing because you always do the closing.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, as always, if you made it this far into yet another podcast that went longer than we had planned, we appreciate you for doing so. Be sure to check us out wherever you prefer to listen to your podcast. I mean, Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, wherever. Go subscribe, like, whatever that platform asks you to do. If you are on YouTube, be sure to like this video as well if you've made it this far, and then drop some comments and let us know, where you agree, disagree on our takes as far as where the NBA is today, who you think is going to win a particular series, or whoever you think is going to win it all, whatever the case may be. Those likes and comments and stuff like that. Not only do we appreciate um, the interaction and being able, YouTube gives us the opportunity to be able to interact back, but that also helps our channel in the long run too, whenever the likes and the comments and stuff come in. So be sure to do that, and and stay tuned for some more. We got a lot of baseball and a lot of dynasty fantasy football, and then eventually some regular season football, redraft fantasy, all that stuff. We got all that coming, in the coming months, so stay tuned.
Yeah. So like you said, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next week.